I've said on here before about how the election Donald Trump, the re-election Donald Trump, shows me how the white man's system, it don't mean nothing. And being up here in Virginia, I see Allen Dulles' name on everything. Him and his brother were there during Eisenhower and John Kennedy's three presidency before he was murdered. And they did a lot of assassinations, killing people as the age of decolonization was going on. And there's a moment where Eisenhower, he's speaking to Allen Dulles, he says, "You left you a legacy of ashes." And that's how we see him. No matter what he did during World War II, at the end of the day, he killed a whole lot of liberation leaders that people talk about, like black leaders not being legitimate and being corrupt. And it's like, yeah, because you killed all the good ones. You killed Patrice Lumumba. You killed so many of our Arthur Sankara. You killed so many of our great African leaders who were intellectuals, who were legitimate, who were not about bribery and mass murder and torture. And you killed them. When you talk about socialism not working, because you killed all those people. You can't. My point is, driving out here and seeing Allen Dulles' name on everything, it's like they wouldn't have liked Trump. And what Donald Trump has done and is doing is basically destroying white folks' legacy of everything they said they fought for in the Cold War and all the dirty tricks they fought for. It's not my fight. It's not my legacy. When I say their laws, their system, that's what I mean. It's not my legacy. It never will be, because it wasn't for me. You understand? The civil rights and all that was something that was LBJ. I think it's during a time of war. It was because you can't talk about diplomacy and all this stuff while people in this country couldn't own homes. You had housing covenants. You had Jim Crow. That's what the civil rights stuff was about. It was a weapon of war in negotiations. My thing is, what Trump has shown me is that nothing white people ever said meant anything. And as I said, the people who fought for them, who did the dirty tricks, the old boys, I've read about them back in the day, everything they've done has been wiped out. Not that it was good, but that I understand why they did it. What Trump is doing, butting up the psychopathic dictators like Putin and others, Xi, is selling the country out. That's all it is. Everything that I look at now is just him, personal profits, personal gain, making the system be official legal bribery, bribing, putting money into NFTs and stuff so they can get favors from him. I really expected by now to have the Russian flag in every school and it'd say the real flag of pride. I fully expected them to be giving Russia military aid, and I fully expected them to by now basically have pulled all the money out of that. I'm surprised that that they're still fighting that war, that they're even talking about it. That's how little confidence I have with white people. I grew up learning about a system and a system of laws that means nothing. That on its face is wholly illegitimate in my mind. Their way of life is wholly, in my mind, completely illegitimate. The Supreme Court is wholly, completely illegitimate. There is no legitimacy in it. And it's distressing to know that. It's distressing to understand that. But as I said, in my mind, we don't really, nothing he does surprises me, because I expect that. This is something that is expected at this point in my mind. They're selling the country out. When John Kennedy talked about how no nation, especially the other nations, can founder in the backwash, we intend to lead it. Donald Trump's administration is the antithesis of that. This is America not leading. This is an American that tells everybody else to F you. We weren't going to live in a cave. Which white folks can do that. We can be out. Listen, if white folk want to do it, we'll be out here with $8-9 gas. They can do it. I don't give white folks no credit. This is a sick, degenerate society I'm living in. It's operating on such a low level, and a psychopathic administration that is willing to attack its own allies at this point. That's very clear. But as I said, to me, it's just, when I talk about their laws, I'm not just talking about like the general statutes. I'm not talking about just the federal code of evidence. I'm talking about the things they did to establish the law, the things that were done behind closed doors and in secret. What Trump is doing makes a mockery of all that. He is an erasure of everything that he stood for. Everything. Thank you for listening.